I have Matthew on. He's a USRSA, MRT, and ERSA Level 2 Pro Tour stringer.
Now Babolat is taking over the Wimbledon stringing concession. For the last decade plus, roughly, after Bobrand gave up the stringing, it went to Apollo Leisure, and now it's kind of been Apollo Leisure powered by Babolat for quite a number of years, and now it's going fully as Babolat, no longer Apollo Leisure starting next year.
When they went from the Star 3, the Star 4, then they had the Star 5, or they had the sensor and the 5 and all that, and then after it just kind of started to like kind of, I think their market just kind of they just didn't have a lot more machines. It seems like over the last there's been kind of a gap, I think, and other people have kind of moved in because before it was always Babolat. Like when I used to be part of that, it was always Babolat machines, and those were the best machines, and it was just harder to get them now. And so I think other like Head and Yonex machines have started coming to the US over the last 10, 15 years, right? So things have changed a little bit.
It's funny you mentioned that, because at the 2019 ERSA Symposium in Cambridge, they had a Babolat racket station there, and it's a nice machine overall, a very interesting tension head. But then kind of, I think 2020, 2021, Babolat has been conspicuously absent from the USRSA's guide to stringing machines, completely absent. And you're right that they had phased out the Star 5 and the sensor, and they introduced the racket station to take its place. But then I think there were a few bugs in the system, and they wanted to kind of work those out. And so they've kind of pulled it from the market the last couple of years. And I think a return is imminent, because if you look at the Babolat Tennis YouTube channel, you'll see that they posted 6 videos about a month ago.
Yeah, I know. And so I'm like, man, I got to sell my Vallardo now. I'm ready to sell my Vallardo.
and also, the fact that the same evolution they showed in the recent videos, they had the evolution branding at the Wimbledon on the Wimbledon machines this year. So hopefully Babolat will be back soon on the stringing machine market.
Companies have come up with some really good machines. The recent machine that Head is promoting. What's a machine that you particularly like?
Oh, as far as what's on the market today?
Yeah, what's on the market today?
I think the evolution is very promising. They went from a kind of global, what the car manufacturers did. They were using the racket station with a common platform to offer, I think, initially 5 different flavors of the machine. And so same way you had like a Toyota Camry and a Toyota RAV4, I think, built from the same platform, Babolat was doing the same thing with the racket station. But now I think they're narrowing it down to it's from the video, I think, a couple models, just the Evolution and the Evolution Tour. So yeah, I like what I've seen from Babolat. I think the Technifiber Ergo 1 is interesting because it's a compact machine which they made to be portable, and it's not priced insanely either when you look at what else is on the market. And the Technifiber machines are very sturdy, a lot of metal, not too much plastic. Then the Wilson Bayardo Lite, I think, is a good value. It's
it probably weighs because it weighs so much less, because it doesn't have that stand, that electronic stand, because that thing is bulky. I can't, I have it situated somewhere, and I'm like, I'd like to move this thing upstairs, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna take like 3 people to move. and it's not a portable machine, but use it at a tournament. If it's at a pro tournament, it's no big deal. They ship them in, they unpack them, take a day to get it all up and going and stuff. Because you do want to have precision.
Yes, and with the Bayardo Lite, I think they've struck a good chord in terms of performance and price. It seems to be occupying the space that the Star 5 used to occupy. Otherwise, yeah, the Yonex machines, I think they're around 12,000 now, and they only come with an electronic stand, as far as the one made in Japan, the Precision 9. And yes, it's heavy, it's expensive, and that's why I love the machine I have, and I wouldn't change it for anything on the market today, because the turntable is nice and compact. You've got all the functionality you need, nothing you don't. And with so many machines today, you've seen increasing weight and complexity, more difficult to transport, more things that can and do go wrong.
And it's interesting, those two things. I'm going to stop you right there because I've had some people, some stringers contact me on that. And that's a big issue because if you're going to be putting out money like this, for the some of these stringers are going to be taking them to tournaments, whether it's a college tournament, whether it's a pro tour tournament, whether you're going to be traveling across the country, whether you're going to be traveling overseas. You need some type of portability, and you need consistency, and you need it not to break down, the electronics to break down. And there's going to be you're going to be moving the machine around a little bit. It's going to be packed and stuff like that. So you need it to be strong enough so that if it has a lot of movement, something's not going to break in there, right? And you need it light enough that you can maybe put it on a table. And that's why the Star 3 and the Star 4 were always great for traveling, because they were basic and you could take an extra motherboard with you. That's usually when you traveled with that, you'd have an extra motherboard that you would take with you in case the electronics went out. And you're converting it to another when you're traveling overseas and stuff, and you have to convert the power and stuff, you have to make sure that your machine can handle that. Some machines are better they have even a switch on them. Other ones, you just need to have the converter and all that. It's not that big a deal, but yet with that power surge, you got to be careful. And how are you going to deal with it if something like that was to happen? Can you easily get some type of repair for your machine? And can you get a backup system in case some of the basic things that go wrong and stuff? So yeah, you got to take all those kind of things into consideration, especially if you are going to be transporting the machine. If it's just going to be sitting at your shop or your home or whatever, it's not as big of a deal. But buying a cheap electronic machine might not be the best. Get one that at least has some history behind it and some different iterations over time. That they've upgraded, and they've eliminated some of those little shortcomings and stuff. Because even Babolat, every once in a while the motherboard would go out, something would go out on it, but hey, you could get one quickly,
right?
And so that was always the thing, and it was easy to swap it out and stuff.
And yeah, in Babolat, I know with the Star 5s and the sensors, they were really good with support. You could count on getting a new tension head, even almost overnight kind of things. Wilson has tennis machines in the St. Louis area, handling all of its technical support and so on. So I think with some of the machines, such as Technifiber and Yonex, I think it is overall a bit more complex. But fortunately, things on those machines don't go wrong very often. They are more expensive and slower to take care of. But yeah, a very rare event. Dunlop is coming up with the 3.0 now to replace the 2.0, or I think they might be selling it in parallel. But that's a nice machine.
A lot of the core parts of a lot of those machines the aesthetics and stuff look kind of similar.
Coming from the same factory.
Really? Yeah, I know, right? And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. So really, you're just getting companies are just packaging it under their own name to some degree in some of these machines. I'm not saying all of them. I'm not going to say specific names, but that's what that's just standard. It's the same with when you're looking at string and rackets, a lot of those rackets are coming out of the same place, and so they just have different molds for the different companies. And kind of do your research, do your research on the different machines and stuff.
And whether we're talking stringing machines or swing weight machines, they're largely the same, just cosmetic differences. If Wilson and Gamma both come from the same factory, then a bunch of the other machines come from the same other factory, and so on. Kind of the ones that make their own machines are the minority, but as long as there's good after-sale service, I suppose it doesn't much matter.
Right. We'll continue in another video in another time, because we definitely need to continue talking, because we could pretty much sit here for 4 or 5 hours, but we probably would just be talking to ourselves. I don't know, but it's fun to talk. It's fun to talk tennis and